Peace family, welcome to my medicine making kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how I make my herbal healing salve. Herbal healing salve is excellent for all types of skin conditions and irritations, from eczema to rashes to cuts, bites, bumps, bruises, sores, you name it. Healing skin salve is something to keep on hand, sometimes, all the time. So to start, you're going to want to have some extra virgin olive oil, organic preferably, right? You want the highest quality you can get, something that comes in a dark vessel to protect the oil from deteriorating in transport, sunlight, etc., etc. And you're gonna wanna have some herbs. Some herbs that you can use in this recipe can vary and range from all types of antibacterial, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory herbs. Using calendula. Calendula is awesome for all types of skin conditions for soothing. And I'm going to be using plantain. Plantain is also really great for healing the skin. And also I like to use St. John's wort, yarrow flowers. You can also use things like golden seal, lavender, chamomile. I just prefer to use the most powerful herbs for this recipe to keep it simple. So I just like to use 4 herbs: and olive oil, beeswax, and vitamin E. So I'm gonna start out by turning on my scale. I'm gonna zero it out with this glass. I've already weighed out most of the herbs. I've weighed out the calendula to 14 grams, the St. John's wort to 14 grams, and the yarrow flowers to 14 grams. And I'm using the flowers from the yarrow, that's the most potent, has essence in there. And then we're just gonna get some plantain leaves and shake, shake, shake till I get to 14 grams or something around there. All right. So rule of thumb is about a cup of oil to a half an ounce of raw material, right? So 1 cup of oil to 14 grams of plant material. That's a general ratio for doing oil infusions. Now I could very well pour the oil in here and let it sit for up to 4 weeks in a warm sunny spot, shaking it daily. Or we could put all of the herbs in this vessel here, and then we can create a double boiler by putting this in a pot of hot water and cook it and infuse it and allow it to infuse and stir it over the course of like 4 to 6 hours. That's a great method. I love doing that method. However, for the sake of time and because I like to make bigger batches, I'm going to use this cool like infuser machine. I think these are sold as magic butter machines, but they all do the same thing. They mix the herbs and keep it warm so you can control the infusion time and temperature. And I like to put it on the lowest setting for oil, and I will still run this for about 4 hours, but oftentimes I'll run it overnight because the longer the better in my opinion. So let's get mixing. Now I'm adding the herbs and I'm stirring it up in the Pyrex to give you an idea of the consistency of this whole recipe before I put it in my machine, because I know a lot of you will do it this way. This is like the most fun ever, honestly, doing it this way, because your house smells amazing, everywhere smells amazing, and you really get to connect with the process and the medicine. And this can totally be done in a jar and solar lunar infused, which is also really nice. So as you can see, it's really thick. This is how I make it though. I make it like a concentrate. I like it to be really strong because I'll usually add this with shea butter, castor oil. Like this finished product, I'll put it in lots of different things, soap recipes, any product for the skin. I might put this in small quantities. And yeah, I like things to be potent and effective. So this is how I make it. So we can totally top it up with some more oil. Also, let's put in like a half cup more and see what that looks like. Again, extra virgin olive oil, preferably organic. Okay. And I'm mixing it with a bamboo skewer. I just buy the bamboo skewers, like a pack of them, and keep them on hand for all of the medicine making mixing. I'm going to use this awesome machine to infuse the oil, so I don't have to stay there and stir it all day, and it can just work on its own. So when I set it, I'm gonna go to oil setting, and then I'm gonna drop the temperature down because we don't want to cook the oil. Olive oil has a low smoke point, and we don't want to destabilize the oil. Cooking it at too high of a temperature, like infusing it at too high of a temperature, will cook the oil, and now the oil that we're making will not be shelf stable. So, okay. So I'm gonna get it to like 90 degrees. I looked away for a moment while I was holding the button. So we're gonna get it to 90, and then we're gonna set the temp. Because, you know, if it was outside, it would probably get to like 90 degrees. So I'm just gonna infuse it pretty slow for 4 hours, on a low temp for 4 hours. And this is also why I do it overnight, because I do it on a low temperature. So I'll do it for like a whole day, really. Yeah. Press start. It's gonna make a lot of noise. So you've made your oil, you've made your infusion. If you have done the stovetop method or the machine method, it's done. If you did mason jars, just a word on mason jars to label it and date it so you recall what it is and when it is ready, when it was set, when it finishes. You can use the standard metal lids for oils, or you can use plastic lids, BPA-free plastic lids. I also suggest you put the ring inside. These lids can come with a ring, and I suggest you do that for the oil because you're gonna have to shake it periodically. So if you do not put the ring in and you're shaking it, it will come out. Also, not putting the ring in will cause an air leak. So it can also go bad in the infusion process. It can go rancid. Even if you shake it and you're shaking it carefully, there's still that it's not a tight bond. These lids have a gasket. That's what it's called. The ring is like a gasket. So get the pack that comes with gaskets to prevent that. And yeah, then you can totally infuse that way. When you're done infusing the oil, you're gonna wanna have a strainer in here with the cheesecloth and the strainer to make it easier. Pour it, and then you can pour it into your vessels. I like to use these amber rounds. I have a 16 ounce, 8 ounce amber round. Where you can save your oil bottle from the store. So I like to buy things in glass. Glass is reusable, it's excellent. So you can totally reuse this. You can add a stabilizer such as vitamin E oil. That's going to be another nutrient, another healing for the skin as well. You can add rosemary essential oil, or even lavender essential oil. All of those will help extend the shelf life, stabilizing your product. Also use dry herbs. It's important to use dry herbs so there's no extra moisture in there. And you know, you can always make small batches. If you want to use fresh herbs, just make smaller batches that you know you'll be using within a shorter amount of time. Or even if you're using the fresh herbs, or not such herbs that aren't dried out that much, and you decide to cook them, I would cook them in a shorter process, like on the stove or in the infuser. Do not use fresh herbs and solar infuse it for 4 weeks, it's going to go rancid. It's going to be gross, right? So if you do use the fresh herbs, I would say A, use it quickly, or B, use it in another recipe. So like it gets another cooking. Like that's great for soap making, because with soap making, it's processed quite a bit that it's going to be shelf stable in the long run. So yeah, feel free to ask questions in the comments. I'm totally excited and looking forward to your questions and comments and feedback. Subscribe, join the Patreon. I appreciate you all, and thank you for your time, and I wish you the best on your